TV yìí mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ tí ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹrú tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. Ètò TV mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ tí ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹrú tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. Àdànà kó kọjá mórí nǹkan fèrè, bàbá rere káwí parí. BGI TV, we are the pace setter. Bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n station tí dòde.
ǹjẹ́ wọ́n ní ṣé ẹ kú lébà ńlá kára lé ẹ káàbọ̀ ńlá kérò ọ̀nà, mo kí lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin, mo kí lọ́mọdé, mo kí lágbàlagbà, mo ṣèbà ọba kọ́dá ọba ṣẹ̀dá, ọba tó pa gbogbo wa mọ́ tó tún wá mú wa wá sórí ilẹ̀ alààyè lọ́jọ́ tòní. ǹjẹ́ mo kọ́ nílé mo kálejò, mo kí gbogbo ojú tó ń wò wá jákèjádò àgbáńlá ayé lórí ìkànnì BGI TV náà ni o, ìkànnì bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣàn. ẹ̀yin aráalé, ǹjẹ́ kí ni mo tún mú wá fún yín lónìí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń lọ tòní? kí ni tá a fẹ́ mẹ́nu lé, kí ni tá a fẹ́ mẹ́nu bà? kí ni nǹkan náà tó dàbí ẹni pé ó ń kọ wá lómi inú, tó ṣe pé ìjọba àpapọ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ tètè mójútó kó má bàa wá di nǹkan míì? ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu, mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ ṣọ́ra ṣe, torí wípé gbogbo ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lákòókò yìí lójú òye mi kó má bàa wá dàbí wípé àwọn kan dẹ pàkúté ogun sílẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. torí náà ẹja ṣọ́ra ṣe. sáwọn àgbà bọ̀ wọ́n wípé má foko mi dáná, ọjọ́ kan là á kọ́. ẹ̀yin bàbá wa, ẹ̀yin ìyá wa, ẹ̀yin ọmọdé ilé, ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà ilé, ẹ bá ń wá nǹkan fìdílé tàbí ká ẹ fìdílé nǹkan, torí tá a mú wá lónìí ohun tí gbogbo wa gbọ́dọ̀ jọ ṣàgbéyẹ̀wò rẹ̀ ni. kí ló dé tó jẹ́ pé nírú àkókò yìí làwọn kan pago òkìlọ̀ ni wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní rí àìṣedéédé ìjọba, torí wípé kò kàn mí kò kàn mí, ìgbà tí ó bá fi kan ẹni tí ó fi kàn wá kó mọ̀ bá wá dogun ni. torí náà kí ni tá a mú wá fún wa lónìí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń lọ? láìpẹ́ yìí ni ìjàmbá kan ṣẹlẹ̀ nípínlẹ̀ Kaduna, nígbà tí àwọn àdá olóró jábọ́ nínú ọkọ̀ òfurufú táwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa tí wọ́n ń gbé lọ. ṣùgbọ́n tó yani lẹ́nu ni wípé agbègbè ibi tí àwọn èèyàn ti ń ṣe àjọyọ̀ mọ̀lúùnàbíù, òun ni ibi tí kinní ti jábọ́lẹ̀ tó sì gba ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀mí lẹ́nu àwọn ènìyàn. ìbéèrè àkọ́kọ́ tí mo fẹ́ béèrè ni wípé kí ni tó dé tó fi jẹ́ wípé àwọn tó jẹ́ bí ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa wọn lákìíyèsí kó tó di pé ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀? ǹjẹ́ àwa lè sọ wípé ẹ̀bi wọn ni bí? àbí táwa la fẹ́ dá lẹ́bi lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí? torí wípé ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ti wá di ọ̀rọ̀ sùnùkùn tá a gbọ́dọ̀ fojú sùnùkùn wò. ká má sì gbàgbé wípé ibi tọ́rọ̀ yìí ń lọ yìí àwọn kan ti fẹ́ ti tòṣèlú bọ̀, tó sì ṣe pé tá a bá ṣọ́ra ó lè padà wá di nǹkan míì. mo ṣe ládùúà lónìí, ogun ò mọ̀ ní káwa mọ́lẹ̀, àwa fúnra wa àwa ní fi ọwọ́ pe ogun kó má bàa wá di pógun ó wá ṣẹlẹ̀. yóò da ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu kẹ́ ẹ ṣàkíyèsí àwọn tó ń bá yín ṣiṣẹ́. ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ló mú wa ṣe àwọn ìwádìí kan nínú àwọn ìwádìí láti wá fẹ́ yànnàná àwọn nǹkan kan lónìí. ọjọ́ tí àdá olóró ìjábọ́ ó jẹ́ ọjọ́ ìsinmi léyìí tí ń ṣe ọjọ́ Sunday. bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé ẹgbẹ́ kan lórílẹ̀‐èdè Amẹ́ríkà láwọn èyí tí wọ́n mójútó ètò ààbò káàkiri àgbáńlá ayé tí wọ́n ń pè ní Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, wọ́n jọ yé wa wípé àwọn tó kú nínú ìjàmbá yìí wọ́n ju iye àwọn èèyàn táwọn ẹ̀rọ agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tí wọ́n fi léde lọ. ara ìwádìí tá a ṣe ni wípé a rí wípé kádà olóró mọ́ jábọ́ nínú ọkọ̀ òfurufú àwọn ọmọ ológun ilẹ̀ wa eléyìí kì í ṣe àkọ́kọ́. lọ́dún 2017 ní January 17 ọdún 2017 a rí wípé àdá olóró kan jábọ́lẹ̀ nílùú kan tó ń pè ní Rani ní agbègbè Borno nílùú Maiduguri lọ́hùn. àkókò tí àdá olóró yìí sì jábọ́ èèyàn 52 làwọn èèyàn tó ṣe wípé ẹ̀mí wọn lọ sí lákòókò ìgbà náà. agbègbè ibi tádà olóró yìí sì jábọ́ sí ó jẹ́ agbègbè tí wọ́n kọ́ fún àwọn internally displaced person, àwọn tó ṣe wípé látàrí ogun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ wọn ò nílé tí wọ́n lè gbé mọ́. agbègbè ibi tíjọba wá pèsè fún wọn wípé kí wọ́n kó wọn sí ibẹ̀ gan-an làdó olóró yìí lọ bọ́lẹ̀ sí. tá a bá tún nígbà táwa tún ní ká tẹ̀síwájú nínú ìwádìí láti wádìí wípé ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nípínlẹ̀ Kaduna yìí kí ló lè fà á. ńlá tó wá rí wípé ńgbà tó tún wá di April 18 ọdún 2020 àdó olóró mi ìmọ̀tún bọ́lẹ̀ nínú ọkọ̀ òfurufú léyìí táwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa tí wọ́n ń gbé rìn lákòókò tí wọ́n ń ṣe kíni tí wọ́n ń gbìyànjú àti máa ṣe ètò security láti mójútó gbogbo ọ̀nà tó wọ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà àti láti rìn káàkiri inú ìlú. kí ni tí wọ́n ń wá? torí wípé wọ́n ń gbìyànjú àti ṣèwádìí bóyá àwọn ẹṣin òkọ kú àbáwọn Boko Haram bóyá wà káàkiri. òun làwọn táwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa ń ṣèwádìí rẹ̀. ṣùgbọ́n èyí tó tún wá bọ́lẹ̀ ní òǹdí April 18 yìí ọdún 2020 ó yanilẹ́nu wípé èèyàn 17 làwọn ẹni tó ṣe wípé ẹ̀mí wọn lọ sí. kódà lákòókò ìgbà náà àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké bíi 15 ló ń bẹ nínú wọn tí wọ́n ń ṣeré lábẹ́ igi mọ́ngòrò kan ní agbègbè ibìkan tó ń pè ní Damboa nípínlẹ̀ Borno náà ni ńlẹ́lẹ́yìn náà tún ti ṣẹlẹ̀. ìgbà tí ó tún wá fi di oṣù June oṣù keje ọdún 2022 ilẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn 13 míì ni wọ́n tún ṣe àgbákò àdó olóró tó bọ́lẹ̀ láti inú ọkọ̀ òfurufú àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa nígbà tí wọ́n ń ṣe monitoring lọ́wọ́ ní agbègbè Katsina ńlẹ́lẹ́yìí tún ti ṣẹlẹ̀. ara ìwádìí tá a tún wá ṣe tẹ̀síwájú fi hàn wá wípé nílùú Niger nípínlẹ̀ Niger State ní April 2022 bákan náà àdó olóró míì tún ṣe kíni ó tún ṣèèṣì lọ báwọn èèyàn léyìí tó ṣe wípé àwọn 6 ni wọ́n sọ ẹ̀mí wọn nù. ìgbà tí ó wá fi di oṣù January ọdún 2023 a tún rí ìkà nínú ìwé Punch ilé wa ìwé ìròyìn wípé àwọn 37 làwọn tó tún ṣe wípé àwọn eléyìí tí ń bẹ nínú oko wọn ni bẹ́ẹ̀ làwọn kan jẹ́ àwọn apẹja ni wọ́n ṣe àgbákò àdá olóró léyìí tó jábọ́ tó sì ṣe wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀mí ńlọ lọ sí i. tí wàá di January èyí wọn oṣù kìíní ọdún 2023 tá a wà yìí ńlá tún rí ìkà nínú ìwé Punch ilé wa ìwé ìròyìn níbi tá a tún ti rí wípé látàrí ọkọ̀ òfurufú àti àwọn ìwádìí táwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa ń ṣe ńlá dán olóró míì tún ti bọ́lẹ̀ léyìí tó ṣe fáwọn darandaran àtàwọn apẹja lágbègbè kan ní Nasarawa ńlá dá olóró tún ti lọ bá wọn débi wípé kódà àwọn 37 ńlẹ̀mí wọn lọ sí eléyìí kó tó wáá di pé èyí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nílùú Kaduna lọ́jọ́ Sunday tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí níbi táwọn kan ti ń ṣayẹyẹ ọdún Mọ̀lúù Nàbíù. ìbéèrè tí mo fẹ́ béèrè ni wípé látàrí gbogbo ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ǹjẹ́ kò gba ìfurasí bí? níwòye tèmi mo lérò wípé yóò dá kí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu kí wọ́n pe ọ̀gágun Taoreed Lágbájá láti ṣèwádìí gbogbo àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa kó wọ́n bá di wípé omi ò wá padà tẹ̀yìn wọ̀gbìn lẹ́nu. ǹjọ́ ṣeé ṣe ká mọ̀ rí pé bóyá àwọn ẹnìkan bẹ lára àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa tó fẹ́ gbàbọ̀dè fún orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà torí wípé gbogbo ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ó mọ̀ lè farúkèrúdò. ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá tún ní ká wá wò lápá kejì a rí wípé gbogbo ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ká fi wo tìjọba tó lọ torí pé ọwọ́ ìjọba ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu kọ́ ló ti di wípé ètò ààbò orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà mẹ́hẹ. ẹ já wo nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ fún bí ọdún mẹ́jọ tí ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari tí wọ́n lò lórí oyè. kó tó di pé ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari dórí oyè ayé ààrẹ Jonathan ẹ já wo ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nípa ètò ààbò. ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá ní pé ká wá wò ó tí ò bá sí wípé ọ̀rọ̀ ìfẹ́ ní ọ̀rọ̀ àbòsí nínú yóò dá lápá kìíní kí wọ́n ṣèwádìí kí ni tó lè mọ fa eléyìí. ṣùgbọ́n lára àwọn ìwádìí tí mo ṣe mo rí wípé àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa fohùn léde láìpẹ́ yìí wípé ọ̀rọ̀ àdó olóró tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lágbègbè Ligama nílùú Ligama nípínlẹ̀ Kaduna bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé àwọn tọrọ àforíjì ohun tó dá wọn lójú ni wípé àwọn rí wípé àwọn ẹṣin òkan kú yìí wọ́n ń sá wọ àárín àwọn ọmọ ìlú ni. ohun tó sì ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé kò sí béèyàn ó ṣe dá lóru pẹ̀lú sápà tí ò ní ṣe kí ni tí ò ní wá ta kókó láti ya wọ́n sọ́tọ̀. lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ eléyìí ni mo fẹ́ fi sọ fún àwọn gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Òkè Ọya lọ́hùn kódà àwọn tí àyín lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà lápapọ̀ ẹ má jà á mọ́ dáwọ́ bo ohun tí ò yẹ ká dáwọ́ bò. gómìnà tó kúrò lórí oyè nípínlẹ̀ Kaduna èyí El-Rufai àtàwọn gómìnà tó kù àkókò ìgbà tíjọba àpapọ̀ ń sọ wípé àwọn iṣẹ́ òkọ́kù yìí ẹ̀dá dojú ìjà kọ wọn kí ni tẹ́ ẹ sọ ẹni kíjọba àpapọ̀ mọ̀ fún wọn ní amnesty àwọn tẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ wípé ẹlẹ́ṣẹ̀ ni wọ́n àwọn tẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ wípé wọn ò kọ́kọ́ sùn ó dòru tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká mú wọn kúrò lẹ́ẹ̀kan ẹni kíjọba ọmọ ṣe kí ni kí wọ́n mọ̀ fún wọn lámnẹ́stì ẹni wọ́n ti ronú pìwàdà ìgbà wo gan wá nírú nǹkan báyìí ò ní wá padà tí ó wàá dogun nílùú. ohun tó jẹ́ kàyéfì fún mi jù ń bẹ̀ òun ni pé ìṣe tí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu wọlé yìí bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé àwọn ẹṣin òkọ́kù yìí àwọn ajínigbé wọ́n ti fìgbà kan ṣe kíni wọ́n ti lọ sáwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga láti lọ jí àwọn ọmọ kó látàrí eléyìí ààrẹ ò ṣe kíni wọn ò fẹ̀dọ̀ lórí òróǹro bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ààrẹ ṣe kíni wọ́n gbé ìgbésẹ̀ láti bá àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa sọ̀rọ̀ wípé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ káwọ́ gbéra torí pé ìjà tó gbé kò wáyìí ẹja dojú ìjà kọ wọ́n padà lóye tèmi mo lérò wípé ó yẹ kí gbogbo àwọn gómìnà orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà kí wọ́n pawọ́pọ̀ kí wọ́n fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ pẹ̀lú ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu láti dojú ogun kọ àwọn ẹṣin òkọ́kù yìí ni ṣùgbọ́n kí la rí ohun tá a rí ni wípé ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò yìí àwọn kan ti wá fẹ́ ti tòṣèlú bọ̀ báyìí ní kété tí n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nípínlẹ̀ Kaduna ṣẹlẹ̀ òun nìkan nínú àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n lókè ọ̀yà ẹni tórúkọ wọn jẹ́ Professor Usman Yusuf wọ́n sọ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ kan láìpẹ́ yìí lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ wọ́n ní pé ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu wípé wọn ò yà sí ètò ààbò wípé àtọ́jú àtara wọn ó ti fi hàn pé ètò ọrọ̀ ajé nìkan òun náà fẹ́ mójútó kódà wọ́n fi kún wípé wọ́n ti kó àwọn èèyàn wọn àwọn ọmọ wọn wọ́n ti kó gbogbo wọn síbẹ̀ lápá kejì ẹ mọ̀jà gbàgbé wípé ní kété tí wọ́n búra fún ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ní ọ̀dì 23 ohun tí bàbá ìkọ́kọ́ ṣe ni wọ́n ṣe ìpàdé pẹ̀lú àwọn ológun ilẹ̀ wa tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá gbàgbé lákòókò ìgbà náà General Irabọ àwọn láṣáájú àwọn ológun nílẹ̀ yìí lákòókò ìgbà tá à ń wí tí wọ́n bá ààrẹ àná ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari tí wọ́n bá wọn ṣèjọba látàrí wípé ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu sì sọ wípé gbogbo wàhálà tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí tápá yín ò bá ká mọ́ ẹ fìwé lẹ̀ ìgbà tí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu sì rí wípé àkókò tí ń tó kágbára ó pààrọ̀ ọwọ́ ká fi àwọn ẹni tí ó ṣe é ká fi wọ́n síbẹ̀ òun ló jẹ́ káwọn ọ̀gá àgbà nínú ológun àwọn kan wà tó ṣe pé ààrẹ ní kí wọ́n lè rọ́kúnlé kí wọ́n lè fáwọn míì láyè kí ètò ààbò orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà kó lè lójútùú ṣùgbọ́n ẹjẹ́ àwò báyìí tètò ààbò ọ̀bà dáa ààrẹ nìkan lè dá ṣe ẹ̀yin gómìnà ẹ̀yin adarí ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà nípínlẹ̀ níbílẹ̀ lẹ́gbẹ́ gbogbo yín gbọ́dọ̀ pawọ́pọ̀ pẹ̀lú ààrẹ kẹ́ẹ̀sì fohùn ṣọ̀kan ni tẹ́ ẹ bá ní ká wò ẹ rí wípé ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọ ológun ilẹ̀ wa kó tó tó àkókò yìí gbogbo wa la mọ ohun tíjọba àná ṣe àwọn tí wọ́n fi síbẹ̀ bóò la ṣe rí wípé aṣọ àwọn ológun ilẹ̀ wa ń dọ́wọ́ àwọn Boko Haram bóò làwọn ìbọn àti nǹkan ìjà ogun wa bóò ló ṣe ń dọ́wọ́ àwọn ẹṣin òkọ́kù yìí ó fi hàn páwọn kan bẹ́nu lé tó jẹ́ wípé alamí ni wọ́n jẹ́ fáwọn ọ̀tá orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ni gbogbo eléyìí tá a bá ní ká wò á rí wípé ìgbésẹ̀ táwọn ọmọ ológun ilẹ̀ wa ń gbé báyìí ó ti ń fojú hàn wípé ọwọ́ ti ń tó àwọn ará bíi ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n ti wá ń tó wọn yìí tí ilé ò bá papọ̀ táwọn kan bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ lòdì sí ìgbésẹ̀ táàrẹ ń gbé lákòókò yìí ǹjẹ́ ẹ lérò pé a lè rí àṣeyọrí kan bẹ̀ bí? láìpẹ́ yìí òun ni wọ́n tún lọ jí àwọn ọmọ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga kan ní yunifásitì Nasarawa tó fẹ́ẹ̀ tó bíi 10 ni wọ́n lọ jí wọn gbé ẹ má jà gbàgbé àwọn ọmọ Chibok, ẹ má jà gbàgbé àwọn ọmọ tó kù tí wọ́n ti gbé lákòókò ìgbà kan tó ṣe wípé àkókò ìgbà tí wọ́n gbé wọn náà àárí wọn. ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá ní àwò ní ìsìn, bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ètò ààbò ó yìí mẹ́ẹ̀ síbẹ̀, ìyàtọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ wà, ṣùgbọ́n àdúrà wa ni wípé tí gbogbo àwọn adarí lẹ́kalẹ́ka tí wọ́n bá lè pawọ́pọ̀ pẹ̀lú ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu, ó dá mi lójú pé ohun gbogbo ní ó ṣẹnu re. mo tún wá fi àkókò yìí mo fi ń ké sí ẹni tó jẹ́ bí adarí àwọn ọmọ ológun ilẹ̀ wa, General Taoreed Lágbájá. Yóò dá kẹ́ ẹ ṣe àfọ̀mọ́ àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ wa, kẹ́ ẹ lè mọ àwọn tó ṣe wípé kàńdánù rẹ̀ sì ni wọ́n, tó ṣe wípé ibi tí wọ́n ń bá ọ̀rọ̀ lọ báyìí tá a bá fura wọ́n fi dá ogun lẹ̀ sórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. kógun mọ̀ bá wá ṣẹlẹ̀ ni ó fi dá pé kẹ́ ẹ ṣe kí ni, gbogbo àfọ̀mọ́ tó bá yẹ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe kẹ́ ẹ tètè ṣe báyìí. ṣáwọn àgbà bọ̀ wọ́n ní fura lóògùn àgbà, pánsá òfura ń pánsá ìjáná, ajá òfura làjá fi jìn, torí bónílé ò bá fura ó lè ó kò, ṣùgbọ́n kó lè mọ́ bá àwa kó a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe kí ni, a gbọ́dọ̀ fura. ohun táwọn ọmọ ológun sọ ni wípé àwọn àdó olóró táwọn jù yìí, àwọn ti ṣe àwọn ìwádìí, àwọn sì rí wípé àwọn ẹṣin òkọkú wọ́n ti ń wo àárín àwọn aráàlú. tó bá sì rí bẹ́ẹ̀, ohun tó jẹ́ òye tèmi ni wípé káwọn aráàlú káwọn náà ó ṣiṣẹ́ papọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn agbófinró. tí wọ́n bá ti rí ohunkóhun kí wọ́n tètè fohùn léde. a rí wípé nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tí Professor Usman Yesufu nínú ẹ̀sùn tí wọ́n fi kọ ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu, òun náà ni wípé wọ́n ń ṣe àfiwé tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí pẹ̀lú tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Gaza àti Israeli. tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá gbàgbé, ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ńbẹ̀ náà ju wípé wọ́n ní àwọn ẹṣin òkọ́kù yìí wọ́n ti ń wọnú àwọn civilian lọ. ṣùgbọ́n lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà ẹ jẹ́ á fura, ẹ jẹ́ káwọn aráàlú náà ń mojúṣe wa. ohun tó bá yẹ ká sọ fún àwọn elétò ààbò ẹ jẹ́ á sọ fún wọn. yàtọ̀ sílẹ̀ yìí, ẹ rí i pé ọ̀rọ̀ àdó olóró yìí ó wá di táwọn èèyàn wá ń gbà bí à ń gbàgbá ọtí. èmi làwọn igbákejì ààrẹ tẹ́lẹ̀ rí, Àtíkù Abubakar, Peter Obi, gbogbo wọn ni wọ́n ti fọ̀rọ̀ léde. ohun tẹ́mi fẹ́ bi wọ́n ni pé bó bá ṣe páwọn náà wà nípò ààrẹ báyìí, ìgbésẹ̀ wo gan làwọn náà ó gbé. ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀yin ológun náà, torí ẹ̀ mo ṣe ń pe General Taoreed Lágbájá wípé tí nǹkan bá ti ń di lemọ́lemọ́lemọ́ ó ti gba ìfura nu. àwọn Armed Conflict Location and Events Data Project wọ́n fi yé wa wípé láti ọdún 2017 títí di ọdún 2023 àwọn èèyàn tí ẹ̀mí wọn ti sọnù lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà látàrí pé àdá olóró tó ń bá àwọn èèyàn tàbí tó ń ṣí àwọn èèyàn lọ báyìí ó ti lé ní 425. torí náà ó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ wípé ojúṣe tiyín ni láti dáàbò bo àwọn aráàlú. ohun tíjọba ń sanwó fún yín fún nù. ètò ìdáàbò yìí ó ṣe pàtàkì, kò wá yẹ kó jẹ́ wípé ẹ̀yin lẹ́tùmọ̀ pa àwọn aráàlú. kínú nǹkan báyìí kó mọ́ bá wa ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́, yóò dákẹ́ ẹ ṣe àfọ̀mọ́ àwọn ọmọ ológun wa. tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá gbàgbé, a rántí pé lákòókò ìgbà kan ní apá ibìkan lókè ọ̀yà náà ni wọ́n ti fi ẹ̀sùn kàn wípé àwọn ọ̀daràn kan tí wọ́n mú tí wọ́n náà ronúpìwàdà wọ́n tún ti gbà wọ́n padà sínú iṣẹ́ àwọn agbófinró léyìí tí í ṣe tọlọ́pàá, tí ó sì yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀. tí gbogbo nǹkan báyìí bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ tánìkà talẹ̀ lérò wípé ó lè fi nǹkan báyìí kó sọ di nǹkan míì lórílẹ̀‐èdè wa. nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tí Professor Usman Yusuf tún wá sọ ẹ má jẹ́ ká mọ́ fi irú nǹkan báyìí ká mọ́ mú wọnú ẹ̀sìn torí pé ẹ mọ́ fi dá wàhálà lẹ̀. ẹ tún sọ nǹkan kan ara ẹ̀sùn tẹ́ ẹ tún fi kan ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ni wípé ẹni pé àwọn nǹkan ń bẹ tó jẹ́ wípé wọ́n jẹ́ agbófinró tí wọ́n mú àwọn aráàlú lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bí wọ́n ṣe ń ṣòwò ìlú mọ̀kùmọ̀kù. ẹni bá wà tó ń ṣe ojúṣe rẹ̀ láti palẹ̀ mọ́ àwọn ọ̀daràn lẹ̀ ẹni wọ́n mú wọ́n fi sí akóló. ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kọ́ ìjọba ní tí wọ́n ṣe. tí ọ̀gbẹ́ni bá wà tí ó bá lọ́wọ́ nú mọ̀kùmọ̀kù ìjọba àpapọ̀ ò ní gbé. ẹ mọ̀jà fi ọ̀rọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ẹ mọ̀jà fi ṣe ti ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà kó mọ̀ bá wá di nǹkan míì. torí náà ẹja ṣe pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́ àti wípé tá a bá gbàgbé a rí wípé ìgbà tó tó àkókò kan ìgbà táwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní fohùn léde látàrí bí ìlú ò ṣe rọgbọ ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari láyé ìgbà tiwọn òun ni wọ́n mọ̀ gbé hate speech jáde tó di pé àwọn èèyàn ò lè sọ̀rọ̀ ẹni bá sọ̀rọ̀ ó dogun abẹ́ ti gbàgbé bàbá Minister for Information Lai Mohammed lákòókò ìgbà náà débi wípé àti iléeṣẹ́ ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ àti asọ̀rọ̀ gbohùn sórí afẹ́fẹ́ àti iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán ó wá di pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́. torí náà lákòókò tààrẹ ìwà ń bẹ ẹja ká fi wọ́n lọ́kàn balẹ̀ ká jẹ́ wọ́n gbégbèsè tó tó àtẹ̀yìn tó yẹ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ àdá olóró tó jábọ́ nípínlẹ̀ Kaduna lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi. ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu kódà Shettima tí í ṣe gbákejì ààrẹ wọ́n ti ṣèlérí wípé àwọn ó ṣèwádìí láti rí wípé àwọn tó ṣe báyìí wọ́n jìyà lórí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí. torí náà Professor Usman Yusuf ẹ dákun ẹ̀yin kọ́ la gbẹnusọ fún ààrẹ àti wípé ọ̀rọ̀ kan tí Ribadu sọ wípé ńgbà tààrẹ dé wọn ò bá owó kankan lẹ̀ ẹ sọ pé àwọn kan ló yẹ kó tẹnu wọn jáde. ẹ má jẹ́ ká fi ọ̀rọ̀ òṣèlú ṣe ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. àwọn ìjọba tó wà ń bẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kí wọ́n ṣe ń tó tó àti ń tó yẹ. torí wípé orílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà ọ̀rọ̀ wa gba ẹlẹgẹ́ àfẹ́ ogun àfẹ́ ọ̀tẹ̀. torí náà ẹja ṣọ́ra ṣe. ààrẹ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu ẹ ṣọ́ra o torí pé ó ṣeé ṣe kó jẹ́ pé pàkúté ni kínní iná fẹ́ fi dẹ́lẹ̀. ṣùgbọ́n èèyàn olólùfẹ́ ìkànnì BGI kó mọ́ dàbí pé ọ̀rọ̀ mi pọ̀ jù ìfẹ́ fi yín lẹ̀ pẹ̀lú fọ́nrán yìí láti fi kẹ́yìn gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ tí mo ti sọ kalẹ̀ torí wípé ó ń bọ̀ àwọn àgbà bọ̀ wọ́n ní àwọn làádẹ́ẹ̀dẹ̀ wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ dá Professor Usman Yusuf lọ́wọ́ kọ́ torí pọ́rọ̀ tí wọ́n sọ yìí kó mọ̀ bá wá di nǹkan míì lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. ẹ̀yin aráalé ọ̀rọ̀ mi ò ní jù báyìí lọ bọ́kọ̀ bá ròkun bó bá rọ̀ṣà ó di dandan kó fàbọ̀ fẹ́lẹ́ bùtè orúkọ mi ò yí padà Ọlálékan Ìgè ló ń dágbére fún yín pé ó dìgbà kan náà ná ó dàbọ̀.
Been intended as a routine mission against Islamist militants, criminal gangs and bandits who've been terrorizing northwest Nigeria for years, raiding villages and kidnapping residents for ransom and enslavement. But instead, it resulted in what's been described as a needless tragedy, with at least 85 civilians, possibly more, killed after an army drone struck a village in Kaduna State during a Muslim festival celebrating the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. When the drone first attacked, survivors rushed in to recover the mangled bodies that were reportedly hanging from trees and rooftops. But then another drone strike hit, killing more people and raising the casualty figure dramatically. It's not the first time such an incident has occurred. Within the last 6 years, more than 400 civilians have been killed in so-called accidental air raids. Drones are, of course, not autonomous, but do have human operators at the other end who are watching what they're doing. So why such wanton unprofessionalism?
It's regrettable, but we will do everything possible to prevent such an occurrence happening again in the conduct of our operations going forward. I've gone around to visit and interact with the members of the community. I've come again now to the hospital to see the injured, and this will help me to know the level of expertise that I need to put on the table in conducting the inquiry into what happened on Sunday, so that that inquiry can come up with relevant recommendations that will guide us in the conduct of our operations going forward.
With more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the former secretary to the Chief of Defence Staff's committee that negotiated the release of the last batch of trained hostages, Professor Usman Yusuf, who is also a noted public policy expert. Prof, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Charles, thank you for having me.
What are your thoughts about this incident? Because there have been conflicting reports about what happened, but unquestionably, lots of people have been killed and injured.
Yes. First of all is anger. It is St. Aquinas that said, he who is not angry when there is a just cause to be angry is immoral. This is unacceptable. For a military, our military that is supposed to protect us, dropping ordnance and killing our people. They did it once there, they did it again. What it showed for me is one, sheer incompetence. The young operative that was there in front of the screen did not do that alone. If he did that alone, why did he have the authority to do that alone? There must have been a chain of command that he escalated that to, that gave him the authority to do what he did. Number two, don't they have intelligence? These were women and children. And we saw their clips when they were celebrating before these bombs were dropped at them when they became charcoal. Women and children. And you tell us they are terrorists? Don't you have your people on the ground? What is intelligence for? Shows clear incompetence. It shows there is no supervision along the chain of command. I'm a physician. If my juniors do anything wrong, they don't do anything until they escalate to me. What is the chain of command? That you allow a young operative, wherever he is, just to press a button to go and incinerate our people. This is not the first time. It's happened before in Borno. It's happened in Nasarawa recently. I was here. We talked about that. It happened in Zamfara. It happened in Benue. It's on. And each time the military comes and tells us it was a mistake, regrettable. Well, guess what? This one mistake too many. And all of these things happen in the north.
Well, I have to say that Nigeria's defense headquarters claimed that the militants they were targeting were embedded in the civilian populace in that village in Kaduna State known as Ligama, and that aerial surveillance captured the movement of people, which appeared to be similar to the tactics of the militants. But that's not a good enough reason, is it?
It's annoying. It's annoying, and they should stop that nonsense. Whoever signed that should be taken off, not speak for the military. At a time when people are grieving, you're making excuses. You're making excuses. You've incinerated our people and you're coming to justify the nonsense you did. It's not acceptable. We are not in any mood for this shenanigan, incompetence, outright incompetence, and this is nothing but state-sponsored massacre. The world is watching.
And of course, security from fear is the most fundamental thing that each of us desires. And it is also the very first job of the government. But has the government been too complacent about the safety of Nigerians? And has the protective bubble they're supposed to surround citizens with now on the verge of bursting? I'm wondering what the national implications might be of what happened.
And I'll tell you, security. Our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from his words, deeds, and body language, he's not interested in security. All he's interested in is the economy where the money is. He's planted his people. Security, banditry, and all that appears irritants to him.
But in fairness to him, he responded very quickly to this. And I'm just hearing that he's just returned to Nigeria.
Yeah, he blocked.
And he is ordered an investigation, condoled with the families, and that's a presidential thing to do.
No, it's not. It's presidential thing. You are hands-on. Mr. President, we don't see him hands-on our security. This is a democracy. We are literally what we are saying, what is looking like our military is not supervised by civilian authority. They have gone rogue, dropping bombs on our people. They are not answerable to anybody. In the United States, where I live, where we copy this presidential system, the military is subordinate to civilian authority. Where are our ministers of defense? Our ministers of defense have been reduced just to chaperoning service chiefs to security meetings. They are the ones to appear, not uniformed services. They are just there talking, looking like what? So the president has literally outsourced our security to uniformed services, to the military. No, military take orders from civilians in a democracy. And no young operative should be allowed to drop a bomb without escalating. That is why whatever Mr. President is planning to do, investigation, the military, Mr. President, cannot investigate itself. We've had several incidences of that. Have we had anything about this? Our recommendation, I will continue to raise our voices. There should be an independent judicial panel headed by a retired former CJN. And there should be a former chief of service chief there, with traditional rulers, with religious leaders, with CSOs that are looking at protecting civilians. The military has not been able to investigate itself. So the chief of army staff coming to say we are investigating. No, Mr. President, do the right thing. Bring an independent judicial panel to investigate these occurrences. And suspend the military, suspend all drone activities within that area until this thing is sorted out. Because what it has shown us is that your people are not capable, are not trained enough to protect our people. You are going to bomb people. If there are terrorists there, you abort. You don't drop a bomb to fry women and children. It's not acceptable, it's reprehensible, and people must take responsibility from Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, General Officer commanding in Kaduna. They are the ones that are responsible, and only an independent judicial panel can investigate them. And let us see what the pre and post mission assessment is. And the crime scene should not be contaminated. The military will not investigate itself. This is reprehensible, unacceptable, should not be allowed to be swept under the carpet like they've been done before.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you. All of this, of course, affecting potentially Nigeria's global image, which is potentially affecting investment and the economy. What's your assessment of the international implications?
The world is watching us. The president just came back from COP28. World leaders watching. Your military dropped bomb to kill over 100 of your people.
Well, it's the top story, at least the second story after Gaza
The world,
in many international
what
news
we are seeing, the
organizations.
clips are all over the state. My friends from the United States are calling to tell me, these are the same clips we see from Gaza Strip. Your military is killing our people, and this is the same military who wants to go and fight other people in Niger Republic. The international implication, Charles, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
The optics is not good. You remember during Jonathan, the international community refused to sell arms to Nigeria because of this kind of humanitarian abuses. And this is exactly what it's saying. Who will sell arms to lethal arms? To a military that drops bombs on its people and is blasé and making excuses from DHQ.
And what about the people that they went to fight ostensibly? What impact might this have on the war against banditry?
To be honest with you, if you ask me, what is the war on banditry? The current crop of leadership of the military, all they have been talking when they came in the last several months, all they've been talking, they've been hawkish. We're going to continue the kinetic, magnetic, whatever, but they haven't told us one thing. Any new idea or plans to do anything differently from what they've been doing over the last 8 years.
I wonder if this makes any sense to you, because the military have been saying that there are standing instructions for communities in areas that are plagued by terrorism and banditry to always inform the army of their movement and activities, but that was not done.
Whoever is saying this should stop irritating Nigerians. We're not in the mood. It is the duty and responsibility of government to protect us. The intelligence services should be there. We're not there to do their work. The intelligence services should tell them. Nobody should drop a bomb on people and come and blame the people and say it's the community that did not. They should be bombing Sambisa Forest, not our people. For the last 14, 15 years, they've been not been able to dominate Sambisa Forest where they should be bombing. Instead, they are bombing innocent villagers, women and children. And the concern, we are talking to people, traditional rulers are talking to people, clerics are talking and coming to people. The military is threading on very thin ice.
Yes.
That procession was religious procession.
I was going to ask you that rather worryingly and perhaps dangerously, I understand that there are elements in northern Nigeria who are not only suggesting that the forces of order that they trust to protect them have turned to abusing their authority, but they are also giving a religious interpretation or slant to this attack. I mean, what light can you shed?
No, that's why I'm saying the optics are very bad for the military. Very, very bad. The Muslim clerics in the north came and sold this fraudulent Muslim ticket, and we have Muslim vice president, Muslim president. Our people in the north are saying, well, you are killing Muslims. You are inflicting a lot more pain on Muslims. You close the border along all seven northern states because of you want to go to war with Niger. You are inflicting pain on top of that. Now you are killing Muslims. And look at the military hierarchy. People are being mischievous. Look at the operational military hierarchy and look at their religion. They need to be very careful. The military needs to be very careful and start doing damage control fast. Meeting community leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and stop issuing these annoying, stupid statements from DHQ.
So, I mean, Professor Usman Yusuf, you have a lot of experience, not just in terms of public policy, but certainly in terms of issues that are related to security. I mean, you worked with the former Chief of Defense Staff, Secretary to the committee that negotiated the release of the last batch of hostages. What is the solution to this security crisis, not just in the north, but in other parts of Nigeria as well, such as the southeast? Is it necessarily political and not military? What would your recommendations be?
I have said it time and time again. All these major three conflicts you have in Nigeria, from banditry in the northwest and the north central, now is going to the northeast, to Boko Haram, to the IPOB issue in the southeast, None of these problems are military. The military did not bring banditry. Neither did it bring Boko Haram or that. This is all as a result of corruption and bad governance. Politicians brought this mess, and the military is brought in to clean up after their mess. And the military is thinking they are going to solve this problem because the past president, Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, thought and looked at banditry just in the prism of military. I've said it time and time again, there's a role for the military. There is not going to be a military solution to any of these three conflicts, because in the history of warfare, nowhere have conflicts like this been won on the battlefield. And they're saying no dialogue, no dialogue. Whoever says that doesn't know what he's talking about. Dialogue is a legitimate tool of warfare everywhere in the world. You must dialogue. Currently, as we speak, the governor of Borno State last week said there are over 160,000 Boko Haram, repentant Boko Haram. They didn't come because you go killing. By dialoguing and getting them, you have done one thing and you've gotten them off of the battlefield. And you must solve this problem. The military, Nigerian military, is spread all across 36 states. Does not have the capacity, we know, doesn't have people on the ground. We've been to 9 forests, there's not a single soldier in our forest. They are dropping ordnance thinking they won this war, they win this war by dropping ordnances. No. We need to back off. There's a role for the military. There's not going to be a military solution. It's a whole community approach. Everybody must be involved. The current leadership of the military, their body language and what they are talking about, they are being hawkish. There's a reason. They are rattling the cage for more money. Well, guess what? They've gotten more money. The little budget we have, they have the largest, the lion's share.
Well, actually, I want to talk a little bit about money with regard to what the National Security Advisor was quoted as saying. Nuhu Ribadu was recently reported as saying that President Tinubu inherited an empty treasury from President Buhari. What are your thoughts on those revelations with regard to the sort of things that you were talking about?
Yeah, Charles, you didn't bring me here today to annoy me.
Well, I brought you here to tap into your analytical capacities and your assessment ability.
Look, Charles, the NSA came and said, well, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came and met an empty treasury. First of all, that's not his job. Somebody else should say that. Number two, oh, you met an empty treasury? This is APC to APC. It's your government. Number three, you know those who empty the treasuries? Many of them are in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government.
So go after them.
Absolutely. The one that was going after them, the EFCC chairman, Abdurrashid Ba, was locked up. And then those he was investigating were made in the ministers in the cabinet. So, and another thing, Charles, is like they are playing with our intelligence. You say you met an empty treasury. And after that, see what you guys are doing. The president in the budget, supplementary budget, he said, oh, almost 7 billion for SUVs for himself. 1.5 billion SUVs for his wife. 5 billion for a yacht for himself. And the members of House of the National Assembly, they allocated themselves, or the president gave them 75 billion for vehicles. You know how much they gave to 36 states as palliatives? 2 billion times 6. That is 72 billion to 36 states. But members of the National Assembly gave themselves 75 billion just to buy vehicles. And then look at, they went to COP, is it 28 or 20?
COP 28.
COP 28. Over 1,400 delegations.
Yeah, but in fairness to them, that's not all sponsored by the government. The government only sponsored about 400 and something.
That's what they said. How many did they pay for their tickets?
Well, yeah,
whatever it is, Charles.
Most people who go to those things, I mean,
Charles,
they would buy their own
Let me tell you, Charles.
Yeah.
We are not. If you are a president, you say we are broke. You ask everybody for sacrifices. Show it.
Absolutely, I agree with that assessment. And
I said it again and again in Hausa media before. Mr. NSA, this is not your job. This is politics. You're straying into politics. You have a lot of work to do in security that you're not doing.
Right. Well, let's. We've got a couple of minutes before we have to go and end this absolutely fascinating chat. But meanwhile, we've still got the female students who were abducted from the Federal University in Gusau in September, and those from Federal University Dutsima in Katsina. I remember you referring to those abductions as President Tinubu's Chibok moment.
Absolutely.
It is now 11 weeks since those abductions. What's the latest on
11
them?
weeks. And I want every Nigerian to think, as you tuck your children to bed, these children, these girls are in the forest. All the elements, rain, and it's now Harmattan. I have had parents have reached out to me because of my work with CDSAT and sent me video clips, audio and video clips of these children, saying, begging, pleading for us to help them. And there's nobody. Neither the authorities of the university, nor the state governor, nor anybody in the federal government have reached out to these parents. Reach out to these parents. They're in the forest. So one of the girls was saying there are over 50 of them, all girls in the forest. And they said, this terrorists, the parents were telling me that they offered to pay these terrorists money. The terrorists say, no, they don't have gripes with them, they have gripes with the government. They don't want their money. So, for goodness sake, federal government of Nigeria, state government, your primary responsibility of government is to protect our people. Our daughters are out there. And you're junketing going all over the place. Abuja is full of glittering, brand new SUVs. What manner of human beings have we become?
On that note, Prof, I want to thank you very much indeed. It's always brilliant talking with you, even if in these rather depressing circumstances. Professor Usman Yusuf is a noted public policy expert. He's also a medical doctor and is the former secretary to the Chief of Defense Staff's committee that negotiated the release of the last batch of train hostages. Thank you very much indeed.
gbì láwọn ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ìgbàdégbà tó tún wáyé báyìí o. Ó sì gba kéèyàn ó fi kọ́gbọ́n. Ó ti wá tó àsìkò wáyé láti fọgbọ́n ọlọ́gbọ́n ṣọgbọ́n tí kì í jẹ́ ká pé àgbà níwèrè. Ìkànnì BGI TV túbọ̀ ń mú tuntun wá lórí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ńlá. Ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ńlá lètò tó pọn dandan kí ẹ gbọ́. Kí ẹ sì tó jàǹfààní ẹ̀kọ́ tí kì í mú ní jèsí kóòtù ọ̀ràn tàbí lùgbàdé burúkú. Pẹ̀lú Alhaji Aláwìyí Adébáyọ̀ tí gbogbo ayé mọ̀ sí bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ lọ́sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀. Ìwọ ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ńlá lọ́wọ́ tàbí ní ìrírí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ńlá tí mú ní kọ àfikọ́gbọ́n kàn sí iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán BGI TV ní King Thousand Estate ṣẹlẹ̀ bàbá ọlábọ́stọ̀ Abẹ́òkúta nípínlẹ̀ Ògùn tàbí kí o pè sórí 0907-948-5035 0907-948-5035. Ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ burúkú kò ní ṣẹlẹ̀ sí yín. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fọgbọ́n ọlọ́gbọ́n ṣọgbọ́n. tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ńlá lè yọ.
Èmi ni aláìlúwà ọba dókítà Adédòkun Ọmọnìyí Àṣọlá Bọ́lárìn aróyin kẹ́yè kínní ọ̀ràngún ti ìlú Òkè Ìlá ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, mo rọ̀ yín o, ẹ máa bá mi wo BGI TV. Bàbá gbàgede olólùfẹ́ Yorùbá ni, ó fẹ́ òótọ́ sísọ, ó máa fẹ́ràn àwọn ènìyàn, ó fẹ́ràn wa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ máa wo ibi tó yẹ ká máa wò ní gbogbo ìgbà. Ibi tá a bá dẹ̀ ti lè ran ilé iṣẹ́ yìí lọ́wọ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n ń ṣe nǹkan tọ́lọ́run nìkan wá ṣe ni. Ojú wa ò ní fọ́ o, etí wa ò ní di o, iléeṣẹ́ náà kò ní dàrú, iléeṣẹ́ náà á máa dàgbà sókè. BGI TV, ẹ má fi ṣeré, ẹ máa wò lóòrèkóòrè.
BGI TV yìí mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ ti ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. mo fẹ́ máa wò ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ ti ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́ ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para àdànà kó kọjá mórí nǹkan fèrè bàbá rere káwé parí BGI TV we are the pace setter. Bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n station tí dòde.
iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán tó mọ bó ṣe ń lọ tó ní ìròyìn kọ́ńbọ̀kì tó jẹ́ yàjóyàjó ìròyìn àti ìsọfúnni àtìgbàdégbà àwọn ètò tó ké pọ́pọ́ flẹ̀ má yí kúò ń bẹ̀ má gbé kúò ń bẹ̀ máa jẹ̀gbádùn ẹ̀ lọ BGI TV bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ TV èdè ọ̀kìn ló dirí ẹwà fákòkò o bí ọ̀kìn bá tún ìyẹ́ ẹ̀ díẹ̀ ẹwà rẹ̀ àkàlẹ̀ àkà oko ẹ kàn sí ẹ̀ka ìpolówó ọjà wa láti bá wa dòwò pọ̀ lórí +234 70 38 22 6160 fún àwọn tí ń bẹ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà 070 38 22 6160 BGI TV bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ TV ọ̀gá ni kọ́ń láwùjọ kùtà.
Bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n station tí dòde.